Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavid Vishavahe Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome to the Katha Upanishad. We are on the first chapter and the third section, and on the second verse. So 1, 3, 2. We have stated the previous verse. We recap a little to kind of fix it in your mind what exactly is the subject matter. The idea is there are two selves that have entered into the cave of the heart. Where is the cave of the heart? What is the cave of the heart? It's in the intellect. The buddhi have entered there inside. And that is where you can experience the self. Now, when there are two selves, how do we distinguish them? Yes, they are distinguished by the nose of Brahman. How? Like light and shade. Only the nose of Brahman can distinguish or describe this. The Upanishad also gives us, there are two other classes of spiritual aspirants. Not only spiritual aspirants, they have reached a very high level of spiritual attainments. And who are they? They are the ones who have performed the nachiketa sacrifice 3 times, and also those who have the third class is those who worship the 5 fires, the Panchagni Vidya. We have spoken about it a bit, but these are the 3 classes to distinguish the nose of Brahman. They are the superior ones. That is, they are beyond all rites and rituals and meditations. They have an immediate knowledge of Brahman. The second, those who have realized that highest reach of relative existence through the performance of the Nachiketa sacrifice 3 times. And that's a realization of the universal man, the cosmic person, the highest reading of reality in the relative universe. And the third, which is they are considered as householders. Householders means not the usual householder eating, drinking and quarreling and fighting and all these kind of stupid things. But they are the ones who worship the 5 fires. That is, they worship the symbols of those 5 fires as the universe. The first fire is called Garapatya, Ahvaniya, Dakshinagni, Sabya and Avasthya. Or, as a footnote says, or heaven, the intermediate spaces like clouds, etc., the earth, a man and a woman. These are the 5 factors on which they worship the whole universe. This has been elaborated in some of the other Upanishads that we have said. So there are 2 who have entered into the cave of the heart. The generality of people identify themselves with the body. They have not even come to the level of understanding their individual self and the supreme self called a Jivatma and Paramatma. The shadow self is a Jivatma The bright self is called the Paramatma, Supreme Self. Why is that? Why is even the question of why is meditation working? I've been at it for years and years and doesn't seem to be getting anywhere. People ask, why is this? I've been doing meditation and repeating God's name for years. That's the one complaint, and for this there's only one answer. You are so strictly identified with your body. And you are now meditating by having this as your identity. You will have to disengage yourself from this identity and build a higher identity. What is the higher identity? Yes, higher than the body are the senses, the mind, the intellect, the ego, and even beyond that is the individual self. You have to identify yourself, build your whole identity on the reality of your own individual soul or individual self. It is only on this level can meditation and worship and japa and repetition of God's name can work and be fruitful. I give the illustration of, suppose there is a deep lake. At the bottommost layer of the lake, it's all dark because there's no sunlight reaching those depths. And as you try to ascend from those depths, as you ascend, you'll come into water that's even a little more brighter and brighter, where the sunlight has been able to penetrate a little. So you leave your body identification with the body, then you come down to the senses, you come down to your mind, you come down to your intellect, you come down to your ego, and then as it were, you are breaking the surface when you reach the individual self. So it's a gradual kind of path which is by degrees getting brighter and brighter and brighter as the more you ascend to the surface. Your identity is that surface consciousness, which is the individual soul or individual self. If you are identified with your body, you are right down at the bottom of the lake, and you're thinking I'm going to meditate and realize the self. It's not possible on that level. So we'll have to kind of reorient ourselves. Meditation is changing your center of gravity, center of consciousness from the body to the life force, vital force, prana, then to the mind, and then higher to the intellect, and higher you go, and there. But is that the end? No, that's not the end. Even beyond the surface consciousness, there is a higher consciousness. This surface consciousness is only a kind of a reflection. And that's the reason why it's called the shadow self and the bright self. There are two selves who have entered. Now the second verse, now that we have recapped the first verse, the second verse is, we have known that nachiketa fire, which is the bridge for the sacrificers, as also that which is the undecaying supreme Brahman, beyond fear for those who want to cross over the world. Just a kind of a little yaseto rijananam aksharam brahmayat param abhayam titirshatam param Nachiketa sake mahi. Sake mahi, we have known. How is that translated? We have known.
This one says we are capable of performing.
Yeah, right. We have known that Nachiketa sacrifice, then Nachiketa fire. Now, this Nachiketa fire, where is that fire that we can kind of pile up? If if you have been following these talks in the first chapter, to recap a bit, the first chapter, that's one of the boons that was given to Nachiketa, the boy, by the god of death, for him to realize the highest reach of relative existence, which is the cosmic man, cosmic person, cosmic reality. And where is the real instrument through which you can know is that external fire, that homa, that is the external ritual. The internal fire, the internal ritual is that fire is in the intellect of those who know. Buddhim tametham nihitam guhayam. It is because there you can have that enlightenment. So that those sacrifices, fire sacrifice, were external rituals as well as internal meditations called upasanas. They're complementary, the external ritual and the internal meditation. Those who do both the external ritual, as we have seen 365 days, we got to keep on doing this morning and evening, this sacrifice. And then the meditation. So the fire which is there in the intellect, symbolized as fire in intellect, that awakens. And when it awakens, you will find that highest reach of relative existence. So we have known that Nachiketa fire. Yeah, we have known. This is important. Now, what is the nature of the fire? Which is the bridge for the sacrifices, those who perform this sacrifice. This is the bridge, this Nachiketa fire. So, it is the perception of, in Vedanta we'll see the Virat, the cosmic man, cosmic person, man, woman, whatever, it's a cosmic person, everything. That's the highest reach of relative existence. These guys know it. And this knowing is a bridge. Bridge to what? To immortality. And it's not, the word is not really immortality that's used in the other Upanishad called the Mundaka, where the bridge, this is the bridge to immortality, is called Amritasya Setu. Here, that same bridge to immortality is described as that undecaying supreme Brahman beyond fear. There it is. So, we have two entities here, two orders of existence rather. One is that highest reach of relative existence, and the next order of reality is that which is even beyond the highest reach of relative existence, which is called the absolute existence. That's why it is called the undecaying supreme Brahman. So, let me read it once again. We have known that Nachiketa fire, which is the bridge for the sacrifices, those who sacrifice, as also that which is the undecaying supreme Brahman. Why undecaying? Because even the highest reach of relative existence undergoes change. And that's the reason why it's called, that changeableness is called the decaying part. Not that it decays and putrefies, gets rotten and smelly. It's not that. It's transformative reality. Because this reality that we see is a part of that relative universe. And we know this changing. If this is changing, that also goes into a kind of a recycling processes. But there is another order of reality which is higher. Why are two orders of reality given? Because there are two selves that are presented to us. What's a two self? One is the relative self, the shadow, and one is the absolute self, the bright one. So they're the bright and they're the shadow. So that's the reason why he's saying you cross over. What do you cross over? This relative existence is likened to good for us. Yeah. So to get back, there are two selves. The one is the individual self, this which resides in the body, and it is, as it were, a shadow compared to, why is it called a shadow? Compared to the bright one, the absolute one. So are there two? Yeah, and they experience, who experiences? The shadow self, the individual self experiences the results of actions. That's why ritam pibanto sukritasya. Let's not get into it again. And so this, the highest reach of this individual soul that can attain anything in this universe, and that is real. It is an attainment. The highest reach of the cosmic man, the Virat, that is, and the real self, that is absolute. And the analogy also is given in the Upanishad like two birds, the lower bird and the higher bird. The lower bird keeps on eating bitter and sweet fruits and is kind of caught up in the meshes of eating and enjoying and living on that tree. And now and then it looks towards the higher bird, which is immersed in its own glory, does not eat anything. And the lower bird wonders, who's that? What's that? Is he a friend? Why doesn't that higher bird eat anything? Why is that bird so luminous? So it tries to hop towards that higher bird, but it gets distracted once again and eats again those sweet and bitter fruits. And when it eats a particularly bitter fruit, once it looks towards a higher bird. That guy, he doesn't eat this anything like this, what I'm doing, and he's immersed in his own glory. And as the number of bitter fruits eaten increase, the longing to reach that higher bird also increases. And the lower bird hops up step by branch, twig by twig, and then slowly, as it approaches the higher bird, what happens is, suddenly it finds that this higher bird's luminosity is kind of reflected on this lower bird. And it sees itself, what happened? And then as it keeps on getting closer, it merges into the higher bird, knowing that it was always one with that higher bird. Through error, it kept on thinking itself as separate and eating the bitter and sweet fruits. And that's that final realization. I am that supreme Brahman. And this said, undecaying supreme Brahman beyond fear. Why fear? Wherever there is two, as the Upanishad says, yatra dvaitam, wherever there are two, there is fear. Oh yes, when there's only one, who do you fear and what do you fear? There's nothing other than you. You become the fearless. Abhayam vai praptosi Brahma, Janaka. This is important. So here he says we know, we are able to know, whatever in that book. We know that nachiketa fire. Beautiful. This is also the Guru beckoning the whole world. Hey, we know. Come on, who wants to know? Come out here. Come over here, and we will also be able to teach you where exactly is the bridge. That fire, Nachiketa fire, there, which is a bridge to the other show of immortality. And this is how we slowly take the bridge. You know, when you have a bridge, you always have a bridge when you have to cross something which is difficult. The bridge has been made by some people. It does not, there's a huge mountains and the valley and suddenly there's an automatic bridge. No, there's no bridge as part of the whole landscape which was in the very beginning. No. Somebody has built that bridge. And who are those? Those who have known that reality. They have helped build the bridge. Why? For them to cross? Oh, they have already crossed. For others to cross over. So we need to kind of start walking on the bridge. Why do you have to bother climbing down the mountain, going down the valley, and then again trying to climb up the next mountain? Why do you want to do that? When you already have a bridge, why do you want to take trouble? Like Sri Ramakrishna says, you see, I have prepared the food, you come and eat it. Is that all? Yeah. You know what cooking is like. We all know what cooking is like. After hours and hours of laboring over it, it's over in a couple of minutes. Hard. No. So, Sri Ramakrishna has saved you that labor, that tremendous labor that would have gone in cooking. He's done the cooking now. He wants you to come and sit down and may probably even shout Brahmarpanam. You can do that also. Brahmarpanam, Brahma. We'll take your questions later, not now. Okay. So the meaning of the sentence is that both the inferior and the transcendental Brahman, this I'm reading it from the commentary, which are the refuge of the knowers of rites and Brahman respectively. So the knowers of the rites and meditation, they are one class of spiritual aspirants and those who have attained some degree of realization. And for those who know Brahman, the Absolute. And they are saying, for these two, in fact, have been introduced in the verse, Ritam Pibantu. These two have been introduced in the first verse, the enjoyers or the drinkers of the result of the truth, which is the results of karma. Two have entered, which are like light and shade. So these two have been, it's not a saying this is superior, this is inferior. This verse only says that both these classes of spiritual aspirants have known this bridge. this lower aspirant or the one who is devoted himself to rites and meditation is not something inferior in the normal, you can sense of the term. They have identified with the whole, with the cosmos, not with the body, not with their prana or the life force, not with their mind, not with the intellect. They have gone higher, higher, higher. They have gone. They've identified. So these are the excellent ones, the elite ones. And that's the reason why people say, oh, that's a puja, that's a ritual. I'm not interested. Let's go for something higher. There's a glamour in this. But until and unless you have not gone through these processes of rites and meditation, sacrifices as well as meditation, you will not be able to reach those heights of the supreme reality, of Brahman. It is a gradual process. Like I mentioned, it is like now ascending from the deep waters of the lake, from the dark depths, and you're slowly ascending. And as you ascend, you're swimming towards the light. You're going through different strata of light. And the topmost 5 feet probably is now well lit, the water. So the water is nice and clear, it's kind of well lit. And there you come up and then you break the surface. That is the point, that is the level where you need to establish yourself for meditation. This is important. I am a body, I'm meditating, and there's something like here, or somebody is calling me, maybe my phone is ringing, maybe I've got to take a drink of water. That is not meditation. So you'll have to build a new kind of identity on the basis of your individual soul, individual self. That is where you need to stay and meditate and then crack that whole thing out. If you are being pulled by a current in the river, what do? You try to swim to the bank of the river. And you attempt, you struggle, you thrash, somehow you've got to come to the bank of the river and haul yourself up. Maybe before you reach the bank of the river, there are a few boulders where you come and haul yourself on one boulder, and then you go to the next boulder, probably jump from one boulder to the other, and then slowly you jump, finally reach the bank. While on the bank, then you meditate. You don't meditate, now I'm going to meditate. You are being dragged by that current of the world with your bodily needs and bodily kind of restlessness. That will not be a meditation. That will be just trying to save your skin and trying to make yourself feel good that I'm meditating. It's like, you people like hold themselves. This is a kind of a comforting gesture. It's nothing, it's just you comfort yourself with this. People, they want to comfort themselves. That is no comfort. If you want to meditate, come out and meditate. Okay. Now, since these two selves are presented, one the light and one the shadow. Okay. The light has got realization and the reality, etc., has already kind of attained. It is there. It has nothing to do much. But since we are identified with that shadow, with that individual self, the next verses will, in order to kind of make us visualize the components that go, into making this individual self. And in order to separate yourself from this, the illustration of, or the analogy of, a chariot has been given. You have a chariot, and what does the chariot do? Oh, the chariot has been sitting there. No, the chariot has been designed to move from one place to another. In the ancient days, it was a chariot, obviously. Now we have a car, the big, nice cars. So, but the chariot, you can say, analogy is good for us. So, the chariot travels from one place to another. So, the individual soul also travels from one place to another while sitting in the chariot. So, now who's in charge of this whole thing? Oh, you. Where do you want to go? Yeah, I can go to those places where there is high risk people with COVID. Or you can go to a place somewhere outside in the California deserts where there is nobody. It is your choice that can lead you to more and more engrossment with the world, worldliness, or you can take the path to liberation. This is the idea. So the description of the chariot is this. Remember, it is describing that individual soul, your individual soul, which is a traveler. We have been traveling from bodies to bodies. From these bodies take you to some higher realms and sometimes lower realms, sometimes degraded bodies, sometimes superior bodies, whatever. We have been traveling up and down this universe. You may not realize it. It's like getting into a lift and keeping on pressing. When children enter into the lift and for the first time probably, or maybe they want to have a little fun, they keep on punching the buttons. One after. They are not interested, I want to go on the 20th floor or the 50th floor. No, they keep on punching and the lift goes to that floor, opens, closes, again goes up. They are having a little fun. We also have been kind of having a little fun. But that fun has become really a pain. Now, we want to punch in the right buttons where exactly you want to go. That's what. So the description is the third verse. So chapter 1, section 3, third verse is, know the individual self as the master of the chariot and the body as the chariot. Know the intellect as the charioteer and the mind as verily the bridle, the reins. The next verse also is a continuation of this, so we read this also. They call the sense organs, so the organs, as the horses. The chariot has to be yoked to the horses. The organs are imagined as horses. Know the objects as the road, the sense objects as the road. The discerning people call that self, that individual self, the enjoyer when it is associated with body, organs and mind. There it is. So your individuality, your individual soul is identified with the mind, the senses and the body, and obviously life force. What is you? This is you. You are identified, you claim ownership. This is my body, my thought, my life force. Well, then you take what belongs to you, and then you are now driving down that dirt road which is going down the steep valley, and that's going to break you and the chariot also. There's a kind of a slope, and then you come to a kind of a cliff. And there you are. This is your body? Yeah. This is your mind? Yeah. This is your ego? Yes. Well, you have now come to the cliff. What do you want to do? How did I reach here? You've identified yourself with this body and mind and senses and all these things. So you've come to the end, to the cliff. Now what do? Come back? Yeah, you better. Otherwise you're going to go down there. I'll read the Sanskrit that can put us into perspective. The beautiful kind of Atmanam ratinam vidhi shariram ratamevatu buddhim tu saratim vidhi mana pragrahamevacha Indriyani hayanyahur Vishayam steshu gocharam Atmendriya manoyukta Bhaktityahur manishinaha. The manishina, the wise people, the sages say, this guy whom you claim to be you is called the enjoyer or the experiencer. What is the experience? Well, this person experiences the world through the body, through the mind, through the senses, obviously. And these are the mediums. And you claim they were just the mediums in order for you to experience. So the senses are considered horses. Okay. The sense objects, obviously if you have senses, you have to have object of senses. Otherwise there is no use of having senses. Yeah. There are some creatures living in the deep oceans with no eyes. They don't need eyes because it's all dark. What do you know? But they can feel themselves around. That is hyper in them. If you don't have light, you don't need eyes. So there. So if you have senses, you will have the world. Or if you have the world, you will have the senses. They are both joined. So these sense objects, taste, touch, smell, and sight, and all these are objects of the senses. Color, form, all these kind of things. They lead. The senses go towards them. You want to experience this. The mind is the bridle, the reins. Oh, that's good. So, who holds the reins? The intellect. Now, the intellect, if it is a stupid person, stupid intellect, it's going to go in wrong places. It's going to get cut and going to overturn the chariot. But if the intellect is sharp, it is discerning, it is awakened, it will lead the horses to the path of glory, to the path of realization. That is where, so you have the controls. Remember, your body is a chariot. That's important. That's okay. Your body is a chariot. Okay, this is it. So you have a senses in the body. Suppose you have a body and you don't have senses. What use is the body? Similarly, what use is the chariot if you don't have horses yoked to it? So the horses draw the chariot, draw the body, sense organs, and actually we see something, wow, that is a burger. Wow, let's go for it. There he is. It is drawing you there. Oh, that's with everything. I just gave you a kind of an instance. There's no.
Whole side.
How sad. So that's what our existence is. So you have a body and you need horses, you need senses that are yoked to the body that will take you here and there. Okay. So when you go to sleep at night, when the senses are dysfunctional, they are not functioning. The body is just lying down there, doing nothing. The moment you wake up, the senses awaken, and there you start your activity. So the senses draw the body out. What connects the chariot and the horses, the senses, are the reins, the bridle. That is the mind. Okay, that's good. I can understand. And the reins are held by the intellect, the buddhi. The individual soul is you can say, passenger in that chariot.
Is the ego?
No, ego. Even behind the ego. So the passenger kind of doesn't have much to say there because that other guy, the charioteer, the intellect, is in charge now there. And that guy, he wants to go down to the 5th Avenue, he goes down. He goes down to the 7th Avenue, he goes up there. And he goes up to Sunset Boulevard and then goes down to the beach. And the passenger says, not there, I don't want to go there. You shut up, you keep quiet. This is the enjoyable thing. No, but I don't want to be there. You made the mistake of identifying yourself with us. Now that passenger identifies itself with the intellect, with the bridle, with the mind, with the horses, the senses, and the chariot, the body. So this guy, you know what it is like. What a big blunder I did. So this helps you to kind of separate, at least mentally, the component parts of your own being. The body is this, the senses are like this is the mind, this is the intellect, yeah. And you are like the passenger that's sitting down there, like with that comforting gesture. There are some pictures show that individual soul like this. I've got, what a stupid guy this fellow is. But you were the stupid guy, made friends with these types. You know, when there's a nice person, he gets or she gets into bad company. You know what happens? Mm-hmm. It's exactly like that. You meet that nice person after a few months or a few years, that guy has become over. That's the end of the road for them. So that's what happens with this passenger also. The guy, he tried to make friends with these idiots. The intellect doesn't know anything. If you give a gun to an untrained person, the first thing that a person will do is like children, keep on pulling the trigger. Even if it's a toy gun, you see what happens? They'll keep on pulling the trigger, pointing that gun at you and pulling the trigger. If it is not loaded also. Toy guns or even unloaded guns. You put a loaded gun in that child's hand and he'll keep on. That's what we have in schools and all these places. They have not trained themselves. They are not in their own possession. They are not controlled. But you give that same gun to a soldier who is disciplined, who's trained. What does that soldier do? He'll hold it. He'll shoot only when the captain gives the order. He can't use it. He cannot use that gun the way he wants it. You'll be now fire, and then the guy fires. That's the difference between an untrained mind and a trained mind, an undisciplined mind and a disciplined mind. when you go through the discipline, you have something powerful in your hand, you know how to use it, when to use it. So, otherwise, you know what happens. So, we need to go through the discipline of what? Controlling. How do you control? First, pull the damned horses, pull those senses through your intellect, draw it back. Once you got this, your body is under control. It's as simple as that. Now, where is that intellect after holding the horses steady, firm? It has to redirect those horses on a different path. You were on a different road, a road to perdition, a road to annihilation. Get this side. Because the intellect is not going to hold the horses through the reins of the mind forever and ever. That's not that job. You'll have to turn those. So this chariot has been given. Know that the individual self as the master of the chariot, the passenger, and the body as the chariot. Know the intellect as a charioteer. There, you have a charioteer. You don't have to hold it yourself. That's if somebody like this guy came in. Hey, Amazon delivery, and you gotta open the door. So this guy, he got some people to do all these things, to work all these things. So because he thinks, oh, these are my friends. So the body is a chariot. And that's the reason why the body has to be kept in tip-top form. It has to be kept clean. It has to be kept strong. Otherwise, you have a chariot with broken spokes, broken wheels, and broken axle. The thing is crumbling. That kind of body will not attain anything. So you need to have very strong wheels, the strong axle, and the chariot, the bucket there on top of that axle has to be strong, because you're supposed to start on a journey. So take care of your body, not by putting all those creams and powders and lipsticks and this and that. No, that's not. Take daily exercises, breathe correctly, eat rightly, and be moderate in everything you do. That's a golden rule. So once you have this, then go for the horses. And the horses, learn to kind of now lead them slowly. You can't pull them at once. You've got to keep on tugging at them slowly. Let them know that they are being tugged. Don't let, if you see something, I want that. No. I want to eat that. I want to see that. No. Put a rein on yourself. Have you got no self-control? No. Every time you feel hungry, you want to put something in your mouth. Hold on to that kind of. Yeah, if you're hungry, so be hungry a little longer. So what does it matter? You're not going to die. Yeah. If you feel sleepy, I want to sleep. Stop it. You're not going to sleep. You're going to sleep when I tell you. When I want it. So you keep on checking the senses, checking the horses, pulling it up. So, and this is what. Suppose I hear something and I want to run towards that. Why? Keep quiet. Why do you have to run towards something what you hear? Suppose you hear some nice praise, you want to run towards it. Suppose you hear some blame or some criticism, you want to run away from it. Stay your ground. And this is how you slowly keep on tugging at those senses, the horses. And after a while of tugging and keeping on pulling, giving that pressure, the horses kind of come, and then Instead of running, they canter, and after they canter slowly, they'll stop. Now you got it, because once you stop, they are not taking one step further. You hold and draw in the reins. And you've got to be strong. So your intellect has to be unwavering. Your intellect has to be watchful. Your intellect has to be sharp. Hold it in. If you can do that, you have realized the Atman. Yes, the individual soul. We stop here for now for your questions, and then we can.
So, my question is, how can this is mine actually?
Yeah, this is on still.
Yeah,
We
this
can.
is on. I'm just saying, if people who ask questions, let me see. There's no questions.
Okay.
Should I finish?
Yeah.
You wanna say the mantra?
Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanam